This is the golden fleece that once powered our nation's economic engine. In the mid-19th century, thanks to the merino sheep, Australia was the world's leading wool producer. In 1970, the number of sheep in Australia peaked at over 170 million. It was an era of prosperity for rural communities. We really were riding on the sheep's back. Until the challenges started to roll in the 1980s and 90s, and the number of sheep in Australia plummeted. At its peak, the Australian wool industry was producing around 5 million bales of wool every year. Nowadays, it's closer to 2 million. A number of reasons. We've got climate change, the need for more sustainable farming practices, but there is one real challenge to the very fabric of the Australian wool industry. So Steve, tell us, what was the traditional market for wool products?
Well, everyone used to wear suits to work, so everyone was expected to wear a suit to work. Everyone had 2 or 3 or 4 suits in their wardrobe, and that consumed a lot of wool. So that's, as we all know, has changed dramatically over the last 20, 30 years. Casualisation of the workforce has changed all that, so you still got to look smart, but no suits, and that's been a huge impact on wool demand for particularly merino wool.
What's been the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is synthetics, the rise of synthetics. There's so many new age synthetic blends that are cheap and have created all this competition. So we've all walked through shopping centres and seen a suit for $80, $90 compared to what you would pay for a wool suit. So that's had a huge impact on wool sales.
Steve Noah has spent most of his career in the Australian wool industry, and now he's an innovator in that same industry, championing the role of merino wool in the global textile industry. So who does this downturn hurt the most? I'd say it hurts the economy. Who else is it hurting?
Well, rural communities, farmers, has a big impact right through the community. So if farmers aren't making money, they're not growing sheep, a lot less jobs. We're seeing country towns shrink all around Australia as a result. There's a lot less shearers. So it has a big impact on the smaller rural economies.
Steve's solution came in the form of the second most worn clothing item on the planet.
Well, my Google research tells me there's over 400 million polo shirts made for the Western world every year. And we came up with this wonderful yarn. We combined merino wool with a small amount of other fibres to give it durability and wear, and we could produce it at a price that was going to be acceptable to the market. First of all, it's a natural, renewable fibre. It grows every year on a diet of grass and water and sunshine, compared to synthetics, which is basically petroleum. We've got this issue with microfibres in the ocean. Well, we don't have, wool's biodegradable, so we don't have that issue. But also the wearability. Wool wicks away moisture. The moisture it's a special quality of wool that any moisture on the body is quickly taken to the outside and evaporates. So wool has like a natural antibacterial quality. The perception of wool that is hard to look after, we've changed all that. You just throw them in the washing machine, throw them over a chair or over your line, and they're dry in 5 minutes. So we've ticked all those boxes.
Who's wearing merino polos? What's the demand been like?
Well, it's been wonderful, actually. Great support, particularly in Western Australia. We've got big mining companies, BHP wearing some, Minco are wearing some. We've got organisations, we've got sporting clubs, we've got a school. Yeah, it's growing well. It's exciting, very exciting.
So they are 100% Australian wool. They're not 100% Australian made.
Well, unfortunately, we don't process much wool in Australia anymore, and as a result, there's not many options to have them made in Australia. My goal was always about making something affordable. They've been made in a mill in China, and a guy I've been working for in the wool industry for 25 years supplying merino wool. He spent tens of millions of dollars on innovation and technology to produce these wonderful yarns and wonderful fabrics.
Steve is so passionate about merino polos and how they can weave a new future for the Aussie merino wool industry. We wish him well.